Hello, everyone. Welcome to the IT Journeys and Convos podcast. My name is Olumide Ajala, and today with me I have an amazing guest. His name is Sabi Waraj, and one of the things that interested me or was really fun when I met Sabi first was he said the best way to remember his name is to say Sabi Wasabi, right? So it's good to have you on, Sabi. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. It's been a while since we connected, almost 3 years, and I'm glad to be having this conversation with you today. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, Sabi. Absolutely. And I think it's an opportunity for people to, glean from your wealth of knowledge and your experience over the years. Sabi, one of the great things about you that you're known for is your work in the space of project management. And as a project management leader and someone who's generally one of the thought leaders for project management, the thought and question is always, right? What sparked your initial interest in project management? Why did you think project management was a great place to get into?
It's interesting. When I was born, I never thought I would be a project manager, right? The thinks with that kind of mindset, like, one day I'm going to be a project manager. That never happened. So I came to the United States in the year 2003. I always wanted to be uh, application development manager. I had that role back in India. I always enjoyed that role. And so coming to United States, we're like, okay, I want to be application development manager. And that was my dream goal coming here. And I applied for like 50, 60 different positions, never got one, always rejected, saying, hey, you don't have experience managing US teams, right? Many of the folks face that challenge. So I went back into my roots and I said, okay, uh, my background is software development. So I started again back as software developer, did some consulting work, and then I joined in 2005. I joined City of Portland as a software developer. So I was building applications using Java, .NET, all kind of cool stuff. And then again, my goal is was always be that application development manager. So I said, okay, how can I get to that application development manager? I said, okay, let me figure out who are the stars in my organization, right? Emerging stars. In any organization you go, there are usually, two, three folks who are like, everybody loves them, everybody talks very highly about them, saying, they are the superstars, they get things done. So I identified three folks in my organization. Uh, and I said, okay, what is one common thing between those three? If I want to be like them, I should get that common thing between those three. Guess what? All three had this in their signature line. This thing called PMP. I was like, what is PMP, man? I have no clue. If I want to be like them, I want to get my PMP. So that's where I realized, okay, PMP stands for Project Management Professional Certification. So I was playing the role of like team lead, quasi project manager in many of my roles before. I already had the experience of working, and then I did my master's in engineering and technology management, and that gave me the project management experience, education, which you need to get your certification. So I went for my PMP certification, and I cleared that exam on August 25th. 2008. I still remember that because that's how crazy that exam is. And then an opportunity showed up at City of Portland within a month or so to be a project manager, and I said, okay, I should apply for that role, and I got that role, and that's where my journey or my interest peaked into being a project manager, because that was I wanted to use that as a stepping stone to get to my dream of an application development manager.
There's something interesting that stood out for me in that,
Yeah.
and it's a common story I hear, right? For both project managers, scrum masters, BAs, right? Which is, I moved from a technical role as a software development manager, software dev, app development manager, whatever it is. I now moved on to project management. I moved on to Scrum. So it's very interesting, right? And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask, what's the most surprising lesson you've learned moving from hands-on, technical work, right, where you are mostly an individual contributor,
Yeah.
to getting into leadership and managing people, managing projects? What's the biggest lesson you've learned from that?
Yeah, the most surprising, or the biggest surprise is realizing that as a leader, success isn't all about having all the answers.
Hmm.
It's asking the right questions, right? As an individual contributor, you are known to like find all answers, be able to answer all the questions, right? But as a leader, when you grow, like you don't know all the answers, man. So in transition to a leadership role, I've learned that empowering others and building that strong team rather than just focusing on that micromanaging tasks or deep diving into the detail myself. So empowering your team to give them that opportunity, build that culture where they can thrive and help you find all the answers and solve all the complex problems which need to be solved. That was the one of the most surprising lesson for me as I transition from a project manager to a leadership role.
Absolutely, that's great. Something about, you mentioned two things which are key for me, which is, one, success is about asking the right questions, right? And also you spoke about empowering your teams, which, for me, are very, very valuable leadership styles. Now, one question which I like to ask when I talk to people who are in leadership, right, is, how would you describe your leadership style? And would you recommend it, right, to people? And in what situations would you recommend that leadership style?
Yeah, yeah. So the leadership style which I follow is called Purple Cow leadership.
Come again?
It's called Purple Cow leadership.
Okay.
Okay, so purple is an acronym. So think about this: there's a farm, and then there are a lot of cows there. Some are big, some are small. Some have big black spots, some have big white spots. As you are passing by through that village or through that farm, what are you going to see? You're just going to see farm, just cows, right? Now let's put a purple cow right there in the middle. Would that get noticed? Absolutely, right? So how you can become that purple cow, that particular leader, is what helps you help stand out and be that leader. So P, so purple is an acronym. P stands for positive mindset. As a leader, you need to lead with that positive mindset, with that attitude of, you know what, we can do it. Yes. Where the leader sees all these challenges as opportunities, with reframing those thoughts and reframing the mindset. So that's P. U stands for unchaining yourself. Okay. Which is our own self-limiting beliefs which are stopping us to be successful. These thoughts which come in and say, why should I do it? Am I even capable to do it? And if you're scared, you're in that fear zone, then you talk yourself out of not doing that. So it's very important to unchain ourselves from the conditioning which has been we have gone through our society, through our culture, through our parents, through our friends who are always like, you shouldn't do that. Why would you do that? Right? It's like they are trying to put you in that comfort zone, in that same circle. So that's very important, unchaining yourself. R stands for relationships. What kind of leader are you? Are you the kind of leader who get relationships? That's how you build those relationships. So those are the three pillars: get, gratitude, empathy, and trust. And those are the three pillars which will help you to build those relationships. Be thankful to your team for the work which they are doing. Always be grateful, even for smaller things. When we're taking a sip of water, be grateful about it, because more than 750 million people across this globe don't have access to clean drinking water. When you are taking that small bite of food, be grateful about it, because more than 10,000 people are dying of hunger. So it starts with having that attitude of gratitude. E stands for empathy, right? Empathy is like putting yourself in somebody's shoes, but also taking an action. It's just not only feeling. It's not only thinking, what he or she or they might be thinking. It's like, if they are going through a tough time, how can you help? How can you go and ask that question? Is like, how can I help you today? That's where you build relationships. And T stands for trust. If there is no trust, there's no relationship. Okay. So that is the R in that purple. L stands for a Sherpa leadership. Right. It's a kind of leadership where it's not about you, it's about your team. And this is the question which you need to go back and ask your team and say, what can I do to make you successful? Because if you shift your mindset from focusing on yourself to focusing on your team, to the other individuals, to help them succeed, you will be successful. So be that Sherpa. And Purple Cow Leader is that Sherpa for leading. And then E stands for energy. What kind of energy are you leading with? Are you leading with a negative energy, or are you leading with a positive energy? Right? Negative energy is like always complaining, 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 always looking for problems, always saying, hey, this can't be solved. What shift and be that energetic leader who's focusing on finding the solutions, who's leading with that amazing energy. Because if you are passionate about something, you're going to lead with that positive energy, and people are going to get attracted to you. So if you want to be a leader, be a Purple Cow leader.
Sabi, I could pay $1,000 for that lecture. That is that's an amazing, amazing insight,
Yeah.
right? Which I'm sure everyone who's listening, would really love to hear. Being a purple cow leader. That's for me, or being a purple cow, right? That's it. That's such an amazing way to look at things. Now, I want to ask you some things, basically about more about project management. You've
Yeah.
talked about unchaining ourselves. You've talked about our relationships. We've talked about leadership. You've talked about energy, and all these things is about how to make ourselves successful in becoming great PMs. But for the industry itself, I want to ask, what in your own experiences, um, how would you say that project management has changed most significantly in your career, or that you've
Yeah.
seen over the years?
Yeah. You know, uh, I have seen a significant shift from going from a very rigid waterfall kind of methodologies to be more adaptive kind of a mindset or frameworks like agile or DevOps or anything around that. So that's a significant change which I'm seeing. More and more focus is more on speed, flexibility, and delivering that continuous value, rather than coming up with this fixed plan, coming with this like 5-year project plan and saying, okay, we're going to be live in 5 years. The speed of change which we're seeing right now is the slowest which you will ever see. In the last 10-15 years, the speed has been exponential. So how, as you whether you are a business analyst or whether you're a project leader, how are you adapting to that change? Are you running away? Are you fearful of that change? Or you are excited about that change and say, you know what, this is one of the most exciting times to actually learn these skills and be better. But if you are gonna be stuck in that fear zone, you're gonna be very quickly get obsolete because that speed is not slowing down.
Wow, that's very very true, Sabi. Very very true. When I started off in business analysis,
Yeah.
we used to have 4 year, 5 year transition plans, which we
Yes.
were breaking down, right? But these days, what you see is what can you churn out in 6 weeks, right? So that really is it, right?
Yeah.
Continuous improvement, continuous delivery, right? And like you said, the speed we're seeing today is going to be the slowest we're gonna ever be. I wanted to ask these questions at the end, right? But you just spoke about speed, right? And one of the biggest impacts for speed today is AI,
Yes.
right? Now, how do you see AI and automation impacting project management? And how do you think project managers should take advantage of AI today?
You know, it's interesting because if you, as a project manager, and you thought your job is uh, facilitating discussions, taking those minutes, meeting minutes, identifying those action items, and then scheduling those meetings. And if you thought that's your job as a project manager, I'm gonna be very blunt with you. Your job is basically gone
Hmm.
because all those things can be done with AI right now. Because AI and automation, they are game changers. They are changing the game because they are taking over those routine, monotonous tasks, whether it's scheduling, whether it's risk analysis, analyzing all the data, whether it's, identifying or providing those status reports. Uh, so if you're still stuck in that kind of a project leadership role, you need to shift and start focusing on building relationships, start helping and leading your teams through these uncertain times, because those are the skills which are going to remain irreplaceable no matter what. So, where are you focusing your skills? Are you still scared to learn AI? Are you still scared to, say, "Oh no, it's not happening to me"? Are you keeping your eyes closed and say it's not going to happen to you? No, it's happening right now, and it's happening at a fast pace. So start learning about AI. Start learning about prompts. Start learning all these new tools, which are going to help you to become that effective project manager. Otherwise, you will be replaced by a project manager who knows how to use those tools effectively.
Wow, true. True, absolutely true, Sabi. Absolutely true. And it's what I tell a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
AI is coming and it's shaping up a lot of things. So you got to learn how to use it and be effective with it. Right. So, Sabi, what excites you the most about the future of project management?
You know, it's a very exciting time to be in the realm of project management. Uh, there's so much out there. There are so many projects where folks need helper project managers. AI based projects, they are based on data governance, data literacy, everything. So in last 4 or 5 years, I have seen growing trends of projects where this data needs to be figured out, right? So those are the kind of projects which you as PMs need to start educating yourself and start leading those projects. Second part of that is cybersecurity. That's coming every single day. It's becoming more and more complex. all these leaders, C-suite leaders, whether it's a CI or CISO, they are building information security roadmaps, and they have initiatives which need somebody like you as a project manager to lead on those initiatives. So are you learning cybersecurity skills? Are you learning data governance or data literacy skills to help educate yourself so you can help your team lead through that? And with all these things coming into the picture, all these organizations need your help with change management, because these are huge, complex transformations which are happening right now. So, what are you doing to skill yourself up to lead your team through these complex changes? So, those are the things which are super exciting, and I see a great opportunity for project managers to be in the forefront of leading these complex transformations.
Absolutely, Sabi. Absolutely, you are spot on the money. I absolutely think so as well. This is really really great. Wow, Sabi. I'm milking this every single way. It's amazing. Thank you. I mean, it's just it's mind blowing. And yeah, it's just part one. We're jumping into the second part. I promise you, I would take too much of your time, right? But let's go into it now. You spoke about, like going into the tough areas, right? Going into the areas that are the future of
Hmm,
technology,
hmm.
the future of IT, especially at the enterprise scale, right? So you're talking about cybersecurity, you're talking about data governance, you know. Now, one thing that project managers or people who found themselves in IT leadership, come across a lot of time is competing priorities,
Yeah.
right? So we're building out a data governance program, right, to manage our data, and make sure that all the records are properly kept and everything. And then, boom, you got to deal with cybersecurity in the middle, right? So questions start flying. Okay, do you want to pause while we do this? Do you want to take this first? Do you want to take that first? How do you handle those competing? They're all priorities, right? But
Yeah.
how do you handle them, right?
Yeah.
And they're
So
all high stakes projects, right?
yes. So very clear should be, are you doing the right projects? Are those projects are aligned with the strategic goals of your organization? If your projects are not aligned with the strategic goals of the organization, they are at risk. They're going to be cut off. You may be spending 6 months, but those, 7 months, something changes. If they don't align with everything going on, yeah, that project is going to go away pretty quickly. So make sure you are identifying or you are leading those projects which are aligned with the strategic vision of your leadership of your organization. And if you don't know how they align, figure it out right now and start communicating to the leaders and say, this is the project which I'm doing, and this is how it's aligned to your vision, to the goals of this organization. And start communicating, because communication is a key piece. Because if you're not going to communicate, how a leader, he, she, or they going to figure out that the work which they're doing is aligned with their vision, right? So that's important. Also, you need to start, having those conversations with the PMOs, right? Who are actually managing the portfolio, right? I don't know, when I was leading a PMO in my organization, I had, one of the roles which we were playing was portfolio management, looking at projects which are priority coming from the business side, and how are you prioritizing those projects? Are there any metrics which are in place in which you can look at those projects and say, this is how we are prioritizing our projects, this is the bucket of money which we have, and we can only do maybe top 3 projects, right? That's number 2. Number 3 is uh, sponsors for your project. Who is a sponsor for your project? The folks, do they even know that they're a sponsor for your project? That's number 1. Then number 2 is, do they know what their role is as a sponsor on your projects? Their role is to be the champion for the project, is to removing the roadblocks, finding the funding, finding the money, providing the resources, providing the support. So if you're not educating your sponsors saying, this is the role which I'm expecting from you to do for this particular project, for me as a PM, then you can't blame a sponsor when they are saying, you know what, my job was to just sign on the project charter and I'm done. That's not your role as a sponsor. So start communicating out with those sponsors, with those leaders, with the organization, with the business line. That will help for you to lead on those prioritized projects. And then if a cybersecurity incident comes in, that's always going to take a priority. So when you're building your risk management plan, when you have your risk register, are you identifying those risks very clearly that cybersecurity incidents can happen? Okay, then how are you going to handle those risks, right? So if it's a negative risk, right? So when I talk about risk management, I say whenever, it's ATM, either you can avoid that risk, you're going to transfer that risk, or you're going to mitigate that risk, or you're just going to accept that risk. Those are the only four options which you have. So in your risk register, are you identifying those risks and have a mitigation strategy in place, or are you going to say, you know what, I'm just going to accept it and get the sign off from the sponsor saying, when a cybersecurity incident happens, yes, we don't have the money, this is what's going to happen, and get the sign off on that risk register and keep communicate. That's very important.
Communicate, communicate, communicate. Managing risk.
Uh,
Um, Communicate. Yeah, back to it. Communicating up.
yeah.
You know, understanding what needs to be done and why is it being done. Thank you so much for that, Sari. I really, really great. Okay, so now you've said all these wonderful things, right? About leadership, about project management, about communicating, about identifying risks clearly. But this needs to be done by people. And one question I would ask you is, what qualities would you look for when you're hiring a project manager
Yeah.
for an initiative?
Yeah. So if I'm hiring within, let's say, inside the organization, okay, uh, then I'm going to look at what kind of projects this individual has done in the past, and does that align, or is there a similarity between the project which I am trying to do now accomplish as compared to this, the projects which a project manager has done, because that subject matter expertness is such a huge piece. If, let's say, if you're a PM and you have done, um, let's say, software development projects all your life, and suddenly my project is co-locating my data center. Now that's a really different complex project. It's not that you can't do it, but guess what? If somebody is some another project manager who has done 10 of those projects, guess what, who I'm going to
Mhm.
pick? I'm going to pick that individual who's a subject matter expert in doing those projects. Number one. Number two, what is your success rate? What kind of feedback people are providing about you? Are you the kind of person who get those projects done and still deliver that value, and you haven't burned your team out? That's the kind of project manager I want. I don't want a project manager who has just killed the team in delivering a project. Sorry, that's not my project manager. Then the attitude. What is your attitude, right? Is your attitude a positive attitude? Are you passionate? Because again, you are not going to work alone in a silo. You're going to work with team. What is your attitude? Is your attitude something which you're going to align with the culture of my organization? If yes, you are my person. If not, no matter how smart you are, uh, but if your values and doesn't fit in my team's value, it's going to be a tough decision for me to make to bring you within my organization. So those are some of the things which I see when I'm hiring for a skill set or when I'm hiring for a project manager.
So you look for all these skills, you look for subject matter expertise, you want to see what their success rate is, you want to see what their aptitude is, what their attitude is. Now, there are many people who are in the organization who want to rise to become PMs,
Yes.
right? What's the advice you would give to these people? Maybe they don't have this, high success rates. They've just been individual contributors. They haven't led a lot of projects or anything. Maybe they've had a few responsibilities on their necks, and they're like, I think I can take a shot at this project management thing, right? What's your advice to them?
Yeah. So if you say, you want to take a shot at that project, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to ask you those questions like, okay, great. What are you doing to building that skill set?
Hmm.
Okay. Not within the organization, maybe out if there are no opportunities within the organization, maybe outside the organization. Have you gone through
Hmm.
your certification? And if you don't have the 5 year or that number of years of experience, have you gotten your CAPM? If that's the entry level which you want to do, right? What kind of individuals you are hanging out with, right? Are you a member of your local PMI chapter? Because that's where you're going to build the community around you who are going to help elevate each other. Are you learning those skills? What effort are you putting in to learn those skills? That's where I'm going to ask those kind of questions. And then absolutely, if there are no opportunities available within the organization, outside there are so many opportunities, right? So when I became a PM, I always wanted to sharpen my skills. I joined the PMI Portland chapter as a member, as a volunteer, as a way of giving back and helping others to succeed, and I came onto the board. So you can still do that. Are you just still focused just on yourself, or are you also helping or taking others along with you in your journey, right? That's the kind of leader which I want to help to succeed, who is not just thinking him or herself about themselves, but are also looking at how we can take everybody together and elevate each other and keep getting better.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sabi. This is exactly what I tell people all the time, right? And when they come and say, hey, I want to transition to business analysis, I want to transition, I want to start agile, I want to start this, first thing I tell them is, and they're saying, oh, I'm not going to see any support from my organization. I say, you need to take those first steps, right? You need to show value, not only in your work, what you're doing, but what you're doing outside your organization. You need
Absolutely.
to show effort, right? You want to become a PM, go get certified,
Yeah.
right? Go
Yeah.
volunteer,
Yeah.
make yourself visible, let people see you and know that you really, really want to get into this, not just, like I said before, not just, hey, let me give this a try, right?
Yeah.
We need to see the commitment. We need to see the dedication
Yeah.
to getting this done. Osabi, this is an amazing, amazing, amazing session, and I just wish it could go on and on, right? Uh, but I'm being very mindful of time, so I'm just gonna ask, I think, two or three more questions, and then we can close it out from here, right? So, next question I want to ask is around, it's still around transitioning, around, doing that. Within an organization, what advice would you give to organizations and, say, PMO leaders or IT leaders, right, to help them the develop future project managers or future leaders within their organizations?
Yeah.
right? Rather than looking outside to try to bring people in, right? I know
Yeah.
there's a role, there's a place for looking for the experienced people to bring them in, and there's also a place for developing people who are within our organizations. So, what are the things we can, IT leaders, project management, office leaders, what are the things they can do to develop future leaders?
Yeah. Create a culture of learning within your organization, within your group. If you're not creating a culture of learning within your department, of whether you're PMO or your organization, your either your individuals or skill sets the are gonna go stale, or they're gonna go and join another organization where they're getting those opportunities for improvement, right? Are you helping to build a a career path for somebody where they can see, today I'm here. If I take step two, step three, step four, I can get there. Have you provided that roadmap, that journey for your individuals? If you're not, then your individuals are going to see themselves stuck in that particular role, not seeing an opportunity to growth. So it's a role as a leader is to identify those things, provide those training opportunities to your folks where they can go and get trained, right? Pay for their PMI or IABA membership, because you are, as a leader, you're showing commitment saying, I want you to be successful. Guess what? I am paying, or my organization is paying for your membership. So you can get that opportunity. You can go and attend the conference. You can go and attend that training. You can attend that workshop so that you can build on your skill set. But here's the thing, which I usually ask folks is, if they're going out and attending that workshop, if they're attending that training, don't just come back empty handed. I want you to come back and teach everybody else what you learned, so we can all can get better from that. So it's not just going out and doing it. You need to come back and help all of us to learn and keep getting better. If And so, going back, the culture of learning, culture of getting better, that will help your organization to lift and elevate yourself and the whole organization to the next level.
Okay, let me just wrap up by putting it into these two questions. Number one, in closing out, what project management book or resource has influenced you the most? Also, not only just for the practice of project management, but in terms of leadership as well, right? What books or resources have influenced you the most? And also, the next question would be, what excites you the most about the future of project management?
Yeah. Yeah. So, in terms of technology and leading transformations, uh, I think the Phoenix Project was a good book, which I really enjoyed, because it talked about, understanding the cultural aspects of DevOps and how do you lead digital transformation initiatives within your organization, right? So it's like, it's not about just IT, because most of the time when we are in IT, we think, we are driving everything, but that's not. IT is there to drive business goals which are aligned with the strategic goals of the organization, right? So that was a great learning opportunity for me when I went through that book. In terms of leadership, oh my God, where do I start? Where do I start? There are like so many books out there, which Simon Sinek's, start with why, getting things done, Atomic Habits, Grit, Vulnerability, Brene Brown's books, John Maxwell. All those are amazing lineup of books. But here's the thing, right? Don't just keep reading on books. Take those small things from those and start implementing. Because if you're just reading, yes, that's better than not reading. But the next step which you have to take is take an action. And action is, okay, I learned one small thing from this. How I'm gonna be more mindful about implementing those small things, whether those small things are building more effective relationships, whether that's be more empathetic towards your team members, whether that's figuring out celebrating small wins within your organization or for your team, or whether that's taking a step and say, let's go out and have a cup of coffee and let's talk about what's going on in your life, right? So smaller things, those small step goes long ways in your journey for becoming an effective leader. So yeah, I can keep going on related to leadership, and so many amazing books out there, right? So the power of positive thinking, reframing those thoughts, The Secret, or Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, all amazing, amazing books lined up.
Amazing. Thanks, Sabi. So the next question is about what you see the future. What excites you, right, about the future? The what excites you the most about the future of project management?
Right. I think I answered that question when we were talking about AI and automation and everything that, right? So it is a very exciting time because the organizations are going through so much change with AI coming into the picture, with a lot of automation and initiatives coming in there. So as a PMs, you are the right folks to be on that driving seat, to be that key drivers of change, and actually not just implementing it, you're driving that change. So that's the most exciting time. That means making these projects more successful, leading those meaningful, transformational, sustainable projects that makes a real difference in the lives of the people, because it's not about technology, it's the impact those projects have on the lives of the people. That's what I'm super excited about.
Wow, the impact on the lives of those people, and that's the selling point every single time. Thank you so much, Sabi. Thank you so much, Sabi. This has been an amazing, amazing discussion. I wish we could go on and on, but we've spent a lot of time on this, and I want to make sure that it's bite sized enough for people to take it, digest, and actually want to hear you speak. So I really want to appreciate you. I want to thank you for making it out today. It's a long weekend. If you're watching this anytime you're watching it anyway, it's a long weekend, right? And it had to take a lot to bring Sabi out of the time he's supposed to be resting, right? To come have this talk. So thank you so much, Sabi. I really appreciate it. But before we go, Sabi, I wanted to ask, when is the next time we can catch you speaking again?
I am actually coming to Vancouver to be the opening keynote speaker at the end of this month for the Vancouver chapter, their annual conference, which is happening on November 28th and 29th, I believe, is when I'll be talking about that purple cow leadership, how you can lead beyond your limits. And that's the exciting time. If I'm in Canada, that's where I will be later this month to talk about these complex transformations. And also, stay tuned. My book is coming out, and that book will
Yeah.
be, Scared to Cares: Driving Complex Transformations.
Wow.
How you can
Amazing.
drive complex transformations with its CARES framework. That's going to come out early next year. So be excited about it. I am super excited.
I'm super excited about this, Sabi, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. So, folks, you heard that out. If you're out there in Vancouver, show up at the end of November to catch Sabi. It's going to be an amazing time. I'm going to put up the links, maybe in the descriptions or in the comments, so that you can see how you can get to Sabi and watch him. Follow Sabi on LinkedIn, so that you can get the latest updates from him and know when his book comes out. Thank you so much, Sabi. I really appreciate your time. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.
You too, sir. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.